What's up, everyone, and welcome back to The Flip Side, a gyto podcast where we break down, share, and challenge flip perspectives and insights on different hot topics in education. This episode is part 2 of a 2-part episode and a continuation of last week's conversation. So if you didn't tune in last week, be sure to check out part 1 before listening. But without further ado, we're diving in and picking up right where we left off with part 2.
It's a partnership.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We have to work together. And so now, but I do establish this right from the beginning, but if they're going to be absent, like
Let me know.
on Friday, yes, I had a student absent, at 7 o'clock, he still has a fever, he's not going to be out. Then 30 minutes later, she realized our son forgot the homework, took a picture of it on the counter, sent it to me. But see, but none of that is like work.
Right. Yeah.
They're doing their part.
It's just being
They're being involved now.
It's that true partnership.
Being a human.
That, yeah.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing is you cannot have, again, any relationship without communication. So there should always be an opportunity for open lines of communication. And honestly, what I have found in my years, because I've always done very similar practices to that, is that allows allows me and allows parents to be proactive versus,
100%.
okay, then if I'm not giving the answer, that parent goes to another parent, that parent goes to another parent. Then by Tuesday morning, it's a game of telephone.
Right.
And I'm like, what the heck has happened?
My favorite is when it comes to it from another teacher on your team.
For that.
I heard this happen. Like, what?
Yeah.
They're like, well, this mom told that mom who told the mom in my class. I'm like, how did that even
So
do that?
it is just honestly so much easier, like you said, to send a 2-second text and nip it in the bud, or to give the correct answer or whatever, because there truly is a ripple effect amongst parents.
Right.
And if that messaging is coming from you versus one another, that's going to kind of, again, clarify, but also it's going to build that trust like we were talking about. It's so interesting when we have these parent nights, and even if you have 1 a year, 4 a year, however many you're having a year, if there's no communication in between times, those parent nights are the most awkward nights on the face of the planet, because it's like, these are people coming in, you don't really know them, you don't know what their kids have said about you at home, how they feel about you, but you're coming in trying to create this positive experience. No, I want to know who's walking.
Right.
I actually loved parent nights.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
and for my personality, I would say that you would think I would hate them, but I honestly love them. Like, I would just have music playing in the background as they would come in, and it's just, hey, how you doing? This is who I am. Same type of thing, making that personal connection.
Yep. And that the human connection.
Yeah.
And
special.
I think the thing that a lot of teachers forget is you need these people.
You need them.
Like, you
Absolutely.
need these people.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to, they're going to do that. You cannot do what you need to do without this group of individuals. Now, you don't get to choose who they are, so you're going to have to work where they're at, but you 100% need them.
Yeah. These are their babies.
Yeah.
Right?
They're sending the
They're
best.
sending the best they have, right? They're not keeping the good ones at home, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you like that?
Applause. Get the applause sign for that, Joe.
Oh, God,
That was good. That was good.
These are their babies, and so what they want to know is that you're gonna
take care of them.
fix it, but you're gonna take care of it. You're gonna do
Be
whatever
safe,
you can, or give them the tools that they need to make their child successful. Right? They of course they have the same end goal as you do, and you may not have an answer right away, but they just want you to know that you're working on it.
Correct.
Right? When you go to the doctor, if you're sick, you want an answer, right? And so that's what they're looking for too.
So where do we feel like this disconnect? Because, I mean, let's be honest, within patterns and trends of education. And again, this is not speaking to every single there are pockets, there are certain schools, there are certain teachers, but I would say the overall trend is very much parents versus teachers and vice versa. And it's what Chris was talking about at the very beginning. Like, I wish parents would parent, I wish teachers would teach better. And it's just this back and forth. Where has this developed? Where do we think the root of this is coming from?
I'm not sure. I'm fortunate. I love my families. I've always, even in Title I schools, and I know, like, because I don't work there now, a lot of people will say, like, well, it must be nice, you're not working, but for 24 years I did, and the expectations were still the same, because the standard has to be the same. I expect that you're coming. I expect that you be involved in their child's education. I can't care more than you do. Like, we all have to care about this.
I think, and if you cut me off if you have an idea, but I think the issue of trust is just like huge with teachers. I think with the narrative around education, things you see on the news are teachers are doing this, teachers are doing that, the laws, the things that I don't think parents trust teachers initially if they don't have any sort of back. At this point, they know if they're getting Miss Miller, they're solid, right? Because you've been at that school, you've established what this looks like, they've heard from other parents, other teachers. So once you've established that in a school, that's easy, really, because they're coming to you. in the best case scenario, they may have not met you in person before, but parents talk, they know those things. But I think a trust issue is huge because of the narrative that surrounds education, just in general.
Yeah, I think it's
doing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's. I hate to say this, but a lot of the responsibility I think would fall on the teacher to almost re-educate the parents because parents aren't in the school system. They're not teachers. They're not in the district, and like you said, Chris, they're only seeing what they see on the media and from what other people have said, and so it's our job, and that can be done on that parent night to start that re-education process of, oh, this is what we're going to learn about this year. I love your kid. They're going to be safe. This is how it's going to look, and here we go. But it's reinforcing that and pretty much telling them what the narrative really is instead of what the media and the outside world is trying to tell them at home.
Yeah, and I think a big piece of that, too, is, whatever we are establishing on that first – I got a hair. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, and it's good, too.
It's driving me crazy. But whatever we promise, whatever we state, whatever we say on that initial first meeting, say it's open house, say it's a parent phone, I don't know. But this is even something that I try to practice with my son, who is 5. If I say I'm going to do something, or if I promise something, or if I give a commitment to something, that is what I'm going to do. And I think be careful. We have to caution ourselves as teachers because in the very beginning, we want to promise parents the world because, like you said, we're like, okay, they're coming in here. They don't trust teachers. Like that is it's the beginning of the year.
And it's not Friday at 3 p.m. You'll have an email in your
I
don't think it's that parents or caregivers don't trust the teacher.
No, I agree.
They don't trust the system. Which has been told to them.
Which then, as a teacher, I'm like,
which is a reflection.
So I've got to change
artificial reflection on us.
And I've got to change their minds in one night. They're never going to change their minds in one night. I think the big ticket or the big key takeaway is I've got to have a solid plan that I can, number one, sustain. Because if I can sustain it, then I can commit to it. If I can commit to it, I can be consistent with it. I think consistency is what is going to lead to parent-caregiver trust. Versus, again, having that first night where it's like you said, every Friday, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And then parents are like, well, you said well, I haven't seen this. Well, I haven't. Well, immediately that puts the narrative. Well, then I wonder what's happening in the classroom if they're not even. So I think we have to caution ourselves in our commitments to our students and in our commitments to our caregivers is give commitments that you can maintain, sustain, and you can be consistent.
On your worst day.
On your worst day, yeah. It's the same thing of how we show up in the classroom too. But I think, that narrative, going back to that narrative, it is the system. But as teachers, we have to recognize that we're not going to fix a broken system as one person.
No.
And we're not going to fix it overnight. So really being, setting sustainable goals for yourself.
Something you said made me think like a lot of families don't have the tools. They're not teachers.
Yeah.
And so they rely on us and, they're hoping that we can help them. So a couple of things I do in my class is, especially if it's a concept I think they may not understand, either I'll video myself or I'll video a student, an expert, and then I send that home. Now they can watch it anytime they want.
Yep.
And even if only 2 students watch it or 2 students use it or 2 families use it, it was worth it to me. I'm already doing it. I'm not doing something extra. It's in the moment. Video it, send it home. Now parents know, especially with like all the different ways to do
math.
Multiplication.
You don't want them practicing it wrong.
Seen that. Right. And so, of course, then there's fights when they go home. Mrs. Miller doesn't teach that. Mrs. Miller's way. And so now if they have the video, then they can, right? Plus, if kids are excited to come to school and they love school, there's no parent who's not going to like you.
Yeah.
Because their kid loves you so much, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They have to like you because their kid loves you.
And I think it's like an ongoing job interview because like if I go to a doctor and I don't trust them, I don't like them, I can find a new doctor.
Right.
If I go anywhere else and I'm like, I don't like that haircut, I can go find somewhere else to give me a haircut. My teacher, I'm committed there for, unless it's an extreme circumstance, we are stuck together from now until the end of the school year. So it is a unique circumstance that you're going to have to build that and maintain it because there is not another option there, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I think too, what you said, it's, again, we're always saying we don't have the time. But like you said, I'm already teaching this lesson. I can do a quick 30-second video of, hey, tonight on this, it's, we've had discussions about homework and whether it's productive or whether it's another checking the box. And we all feel different ways about that. And that's fine. Because again, whether you do homework and I don't, but we're getting results, that's what matters, right? But having that, I know this is going to be confusing for parents.
Yes.
You know what the patterns are, based on previous years. So if you already know something is going to be an issue, any way you can be proactive, you're already doing that lesson that day in class. Right. You're already setting it up for the students. A quick 30-second video, a quick point of clarification. That's, again, I think about Wade and I, and we've done a lot of like therapy as a couple to learn how to effectively communicate to one another, right? I can't expect for Wade to read my mind as much as I would love that. And I can't read his. Parents can't read our minds, and we can't assume, oh, well, they've been a student. They've gone to school. They know. No, everything is always changing and different. So I think just being proactive, and again, how can I set parents up for success?
So how we try to figure out the misconceptions for student lessons, I kind of do that for parents too. Like, what would they be confused about? What would they need help with? How can I help? But videoing the students is even easier. Yeah. Because while you're circulating, and they're doing it on the dry erase boards or whatever they're using, you're just going to go over them video real quick.
If you make parents feel successful, 100%. That is only going to build their trust in you. Yeah. If you make them feel like they are lesser than, they're not doing things right, they're screwing up, they're not doing enough, they're not being enough, they will never trust you to have a working relationship.
In a video, they can rewatch it. If they need it 10 times, I'm never going to know how many times they watch it. And it makes them like no one knows that they didn't understand it. They can rewatch it. And so
parents want to know that they're doing a good job.
Yeah. Of course.
And kids aren't giving them the affirmation that they know. Let me tell you, because I got one myself, a 5-year-old, and I wish what did he tell you, Chris, that I do so well, I work well, and then he told you that I cook well. And
oh, yeah. I said, what was it? I don't even remember. I said, what does Mama do well? Works well.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay.
That was a long time
What did she?
That was a long. I'm still traumatized by it. But
a long time ago.
But my point is, kids aren't giving those affirmations because they're not capable. I mean, the quality of their, compliments. Parents want to know that what they're doing is a good job, that we see them, we are validating that they are giving their best effort, we are setting them up for success, and all of those things are so much more important than if they're signing a reading log.
I think we forget.
Or than if they're showing up for a
I think we forget as teachers how much, and this is the wrong word, but how much power we have.
Yes.
To make people feel
And we do. We absolutely do. So we need to be mindful of that.
One of my parents told me that I was the single most influential person in her son's life.
Oh my God.
And did you cry for how many hours?
I know. It's just the nicest compliment because you don't realize.
No, we don't.
But, they don't want to disappoint their teacher. And I'm thankful for that, especially by 5th grade, sometimes.
I mean, you have to, and when you get to 5th grade, it's how do I get them to work?
I love 5th grade so much.
Like that is,
5th grade.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Now, speaking of, I wasn't going to bring it up, but now since you brought a little touch of it, we had you ask one of your parents of your current class, what makes this family engagement so strong in your classroom? So I want you to pull up you have your phone? Yes. Okay, hand it to me. Pull up the text and hand it to me. Because I know you're not going to share, but I do want to share some of the things that they said. And celebrate you because you celebrate others. So we asked one of Joanne's parents in her class as we wrap up this episode. Oh my word! I did not know the response was that
long.
It's
a novella.
Okay,
10 is the best.
Oh, it's a list.
Oh yeah, she did the 10 lessons. I asked her because sometimes I'm not sure how she thinks or how others perceive how I build family engagement.
I love this. So we had Joanne ask the parents of her current class what how she builds family engagement in her classroom. And these are the top 10 reasons from this incredible parent here. Okay, here we go. Number 1, the first thing that pops in my mind is your Sunday newsletters. Your communication skills are always on point. You're very detail-oriented, and your newsletter is so informative that allows parents to know exactly what to expect every single week. Great. Applause sign. Cue the applause sign.
Got it.
Number 2, you always engage parents through Class Dojo. You post so many pictures and videos and love the comments from us. Number 3, you include families in your Win It Wednesday. Oh, you didn't talk about that.
I need to.
I need to. We'll stop in a second. Not only do kids learn the vocabulary words, but parents do it too. It's a genius way to include us in the learning with the kids, in these words with our kids. Talk about Win It Wednesdays.
Okay, so I thought of this a few years ago, and I wish, after 28 years, sometimes you're mad because it took me 25 years to figure this out. So to get them to study their weekly vocabulary words, because by 4th and 5th grade, parents don't check backpacks as much, and so it's their responsibility, and I wanted to get parents involved. So on Wednesday, I randomly select a student, and we call. It's on the spot. I mean, I tell them at open house I'm going to do it. So I call and I say, oh, Mrs. King, hi, it's Mrs. Miller's class. You know what today is? Win It Wednesday.
Oh, boy.
Do you happen to know one of our vocabulary words?
Oh, this is genius.
Oh, my gosh. This is so good, Joanne.
And that's all they have to tell me is the vocabulary word. But, of course, my students, they're overachievers because we love overachievers. And they'll say, what's a synonym? Put it in a sentence. And so what happened, and of course the parents usually know the vocabulary words, maybe not all, but most, right? But the kid thinks that they're teaching their parents the vocabulary words, but that's another way to study, another way to get those words out of the backpack.
That is amazing.
And if they know,
It's like
the whole class gets a
Ellen.
treat. Yes.
I love that. Live on the spot.
Call him Mr. Brown while he's working at the bank.
Yeah, that's amazing.
good.
I love that. You must have posted something with people have to comment musical chairs on the post to get a freebie or something because they're coming through. They're coming through for that freebie. I'm reading these. Okay, here we go. Number 4, you come to birthday parties, baseball games, etc. I've never met a teacher that does that. You take time out of your personal schedule to spend more time with our families. If that isn't family engagement, then I don't know what is. The voice of this is just amazing. I do want to talk about that for a second. I think a lot of times teachers will say, nope, that's outside of my contract hours. I don't need to do it. We're not saying you need to do it, but the power in that is massive. There's never been a year where I haven't done that.
Tips.
Why would you not do that?
Try to go to games that your kids play against each other.
Yep.
That way you get a couple done at one time. If it's a baseball game, you always show up a little late because baseball runs forever.
Correct.
And most of the things are around like when my kids were younger. Now my youngest is 17, so I have a little bit extra time now. But you don't have to go for the whole game. But the way they light up when you show up,
A drive-by.
and I can't just show up. I have a shirt. It says I'm their proud teacher. I bring signs that say, like if I was going to your it say Hope's #1 fan, and because I want to make sure, because if I get obnoxious, nobody gets mad at the teacher. People be like, that mom needs to sit down, right? Teacher like, oh, that's so cute that their teacher came.
And they're probably like, where's my child's
Right?
teacher?
And then I give out homework passes. If you get a home run, no homework for a whole week. And then all the parents are like, that's awesome.
Oh, that's sick.
Yes.
Oh, man. I would have loved that.
So if you're good at academics and on the field, you get an extra.
Well, no, I also have for good sportsmanship.
Oh, okay. We love it.
Well,
Yeah.
see them in a different light.
I love that. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's critical. Number 5, when we talked about this already, you give your cell phone number out to parents to message, call, etc. You go above and beyond to be available to answer questions anytime for a chat, conference. You make it so easy for us parents to get a hold of you. I've had the exact opposite from teachers, and it was hard. Not all teachers do what you do. Number 6.
Yeah, wait. Anytime? You don't give a
But they
cutoff
don't
time?
really abuse it.
Okay.
I mean, like I said,
They say available
obviously-
anytime, but I've never had, like you said earlier, I've never had a parent abuse that
Oh, I have.
ever.
I have. So, yeah. I'll put time limits.
block.
The reading
past 8 p.m., no.
The reading contract is a way to keep families accountable and engaged in making sure our children read daily. We don't want to disappoint Mrs. Miller and break our contract. The quizzes that you send weekly help us with work with our kids to help them study for their tests. I think exactly what we talked about earlier, involving them in the learning is key, but often forgotten. It's just like this conference or there, but actually getting them involved in the content, obviously has popped up here many times.
Yeah.
Number 7.
Yeah, we had a whole conversation.
Yeah. Number 7, your open houses and making the parents do little activities like taking the multiplication test, not only involving the kids, but the parents is your clever open house ideas, involving them again in what the kids
I have
are
a plus sign. I have little ones.
Oh, for them?
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
It's two-sided. One says, I love it. One's applause sign. So every time we have an idea, I say, oh, Mr. King, 2 tickets for your kid. And then all of a sudden, all the parents. And make sure they're paying
Then they
attention.
start doing it. And also, that's going to make them smile huge.
Oh, they
throughout.
love
Like,
it.
they're
They're
literally
no
beaming
wonder.
on it. Yeah.
No wonder
exactly.
my kid loves to come to school. That's
I love that.
fun.
Number 8, you have cultivated a classroom family where everyone feels like they belong and no one feels left out. The kids take care of each other and help each other. Number 9, you highlight students each week and have the kids write sweet messages about each other, and parents can read and see how caring everyone is to each other. It's huge for kids.
Wow.
And number 10, this one's a short paragraph, so here we go.
Oh, boy.
You get the tissues. You love and pour your heart to teaching, and our kids admire and cherish you beyond anything I've ever seen. How can us parents not love you back? How can parents not appreciate everything you do? You can ask me to do anything, and I will gladly do it because you give 110% every day for my child. You are the most influential person in my son's life, and you have impacted him in such a way that I will never be able to repay you for that. You are the model for all teachers and are effortlessly make us engaged. By the way, super cool you're doing a podcast.
There it is, everybody. There it is.
I love that. There we go. That's Joanne Miller. I know the trouble you had to get here with not flying, but we need to have you back. So, Leanne, pack a road trip because we're coming back. You're going to have to drive her another time. But for those who want to follow you, keep up with you, where can they follow you on social media?
Head over heels for teaching.
Awesome. Head over heels for teaching. Joanne Miller, everybody. Exactly. Go back and find the post that you can comment musical chairs on for a freebie. But thank you, Joanne, once again for a great episode. If you are listening at home, make sure you watch the live episode on YouTube, or you can listen every week on Spotify, Apple Music, or wherever you listen to your podcast. New episodes of The Flip Side air each Monday morning. But until then, we will catch you on
The Flip Side.
Bye, guys. Have a great week.